All right, let's piss everybody off right now by talking, one, about Notre Dame, and two, about where Notre Dame is going to be seated in the playoff ranking when the final playoff poll comes out. We're going to just put Notre Dame in the playoffs and just drive those people who hate when we talk about Notre Dame crazy, because that's my favorite part of the Notre Dame discourse is we talk about Notre Dame, and whether we have a blazing hot take that they're going to be good or bad or whatever, we get the people going, nobody cares about Notre Dame. No, you care, because when we talk about Minnesota, you don't tell us you don't care.
Andy, let me play a game. If you had a time machine and you could only use it one time, what would you do?
That's a great question.
You don't even really have to answer. I'm just setting up what I'm going to say.
All right.
I would go back to 48 hours ago, and I would do whatever I could to have my job at On3 start soon so I could scream from the mountaintops what I've been feeling in my loins for the entire summer ever since I talked to Pete Sampson on my old podcast. Notre Dame is going undefeated this year. That's my official prediction, and it does not hit the same after they go into College Station and win the way that they did. But I want you guys to know, and I mean this Scout's honor, that's what I felt coming into the year. I think they've got a very good defense. They're very physical. Their quarterback needs to stay healthy. They might have some options between Bo Collins and Chris Mitchell and guys like that on this team to finally have some offensive explosiveness on the outside. Their schedule stinks. Like, they are in a position right now where if I had to draw it up and what I would guess if I was doing the bracketology thing, 5 seed.
So I will vouch for Ari. He did say before the game that he thought Notre Dame would be undefeated. He also said Clemson would cover against Georgia. So he's not perfect.
I don't need a time machine. I got my pal here.
That's right. I can. Yeah, I'm unimpeachable. I would never lie to you.
Ever.
But no, you did say that. And if they go undefeated, they probably are the 5 seed. And this is the genius of Jack Swarbrick, former Notre Dame athletic director, who was a part of designing this 12-team playoff, because Notre Dame never has to join a conference if they're in a situation where most years they can go 10-2 and make the playoff. It's completely fair that they can't be seeded 1 through 4 and get a bye, because they don't play a conference championship game, and your Georgias and your Alabamas and your Ohio States and your Michigans do have to play one. So it's completely fair. It works out perfectly. But the genius of this is, as we've talked about all off season, the 5 seed is the catbird seat, because you play the 12 seed, which may not be the 12th ranked team, maybe the 24th ranked team. And then you play the 4 seed, which is definitely not going to be the 4th ranked team, and maybe like the 9th ranked team.
Yeah, well, based on what we understand about the sport right now, will probably be the Big 12 champion.
Yes.
Which may be a team that is outside of the top 10 at that point. Now, it might not be. I mean, I don't know if you watch some Big 12 football. They got some spunky teams over there. Yeah, their first round playoff game is their conference championship game against a team that isn't as good as most other teams have to play in their conference championship.
Exactly. So it's a better situation.
So Notre Dame is definitely in an advantageous position when it comes to advancing in the playoff, which is really the only thing that this fan base has been dying for. You know, they've had their big major bowl win drought hung over their head now for the past, decade plus. I think right now they're in a position where between Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love and the pieces that they have in their secondary that came back, the All-Americans back, they have a lot of really good things. And as we're doing these videos, it is occurring to me, and I don't know what the reason for this is. I don't know if it's NIL or, recruiting trends or whatever, but there are a lot of very exciting new teams this year.
Yes.
And I know that Notre Dame has made the 4-team field multiple times, so they're not necessarily a new team, but they are a team that you have to take seriously as a legitimate contender because of these types of teams. Having big pieces on both sides of the ball that are reliable, and watching them go into College Station and maul an SEC team that has recruited like a juggernaut is pretty impressive to me.
Well, and I'll tell you what the most exciting thing from a Notre Dame perspective was for me is watching that offensive line take over as the game went on and open holes, because we were worried about how they protect Riley Leonard because they're mostly new starters, new playing together. They had hoped Charles Jagasaw would be their starting left tackle. He gets hurt in preseason camp and he's out for the season. So they handled that part pretty well. Texas A&M's pass rush is really good, and it wasn't perfect, but Riley Leonard is so mobile that he could make some things happen and keep them out of bad plays. But the fact that they were mauling Texas A&M up front late in the game, opening holes for the backs, is there anybody else on their schedule that they're going to have trouble doing that with?
Well, we played this game with some other teams, but let's play the game. Where's the loss? Florida State, is that the toughest game that they play? They've got to go to Georgia Tech. That could be tricky.
Yeah, that's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that's going to be half. It's going to be 50% Notre Dame, 50% Georgia Tech. But based on what we've seen from Georgia Tech so far, they're pretty good on the line of scrimmage too. I think Louisville could be tough. Louisville obviously housed Notre Dame last year in Louisville. This game's in South Bend this year.
Yeah. So, and also too, if they slip up one time, they're probably still in the playoff. The path might be a little bit harder.
Might be going on the road.
You want to have that 5 seed pathway. But we're talking about a team here that has pieces, has physicality. And also, too, let's talk about this for a minute. Like, where are we on Marcus Freeman? And, last year I covered the Ohio State game. You were also there, right? Yep. And he made, I can't remember what the boneheaded decision.
10 guys on the field.
Field with the game on the line. It's like there were some questions like, is this guy ready for this? And it's like Marcus Freeman is smooth. He's charismatic. He's a good-looking man. I think he recruits well. He fills out a quarter zip like nobody's business. But like if he is developing in front of our eyes too into a guy who is ready to take this team to the next step, maybe that also leads to more recruiting wins, which is the one criticism that I would have. I don't think that they've won as many battles or held on to as many players as I thought they would when they went from Brian Kelly to him. But that's an aside that we could talk about.
I still think they're recruiting better.
Yeah. I wonder if there is a glass ceiling on what can be accomplished there and whether or not they can break through it. And it takes a season like maybe the one that they are about to have to get through that.
Yeah. So, I just the reason I bring up the offensive line is that travels. Mm-hmm. That tends to not have an off night. And I think that's where Notre Dame could really be good this year is if they get in trouble, if things are starting to look dicey, they should be able to just rely on that offensive line to get a push up front, take over the game on the ground, and grind it out. So when you have a clunker, if the passing game's not working, they can make that work, and their defense is going to be good enough that the score is going to be low enough that you can win that way.
Yeah. There's a lot to like about this team, and I know in the past we have, come down on their inability to make plays or the offensive playmaking situation. I think that even in the past, when they would get matched up with teams like Alabama in the playoff, they'd be able to match up pretty well in the trenches. They weren't very good on the outside where the players with the skill dwell. And I saw a lot of tweets yesterday, a lot of tweets from a lot of people saying, what is this Notre Dame team with skill position players? Like, what am I watching? Yeah. So that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Well, I cannot wait to see what the Irish do from here. Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami of Ohio, like they've got to.
They're not a dog for the rest of the year. Look at the schedule. Where they're a dog. They're not a dog.
They're not an underdog for the rest of the year unless USC is really good.
Unless USC turns out to be good, which, by the way, we know that's probably not going to happen.
We're recording this before the LSU USC game. So
we'll see.
We have no idea what happened there. That could sound incredibly crazy if you're watching this on Monday. But yeah, all right, this is a reason to be very excited at Notre Dame. And I think this game was such a test for them. If they lost it, they could probably still make the playoff, but they had no margin for error. Now they got a mulligan, but if they don't need to use it, I don't know. We may be watching a playoff game in South Bend in December.
Oh, the possibilities of this season, really. Like when you think about not just the new system, but how that new system can play out. Notre Dame, I think, is firmly in the mix for whatever could happen in this new era of college football. And maybe we'll welcome in this new era with some Notre Dame Miami action at some point down the road.
Yes. Touchdown Jesus, like, hey.
Well, as much as things change, sometimes things,
Well, the Miami fans will have touchdown Jesus doing this. So that would be it. Listen, we don't know what's going to happen come December, but it is a world of possibilities, and it's a world of possibilities for Notre Dame because they got an offensive line. Then when the game's on the line, then go kick some ass.
And pardon us for being excited, Andy. You know
Yeah.
what? This is college football. I've been waiting all year for it to be back. If you're a Notre Dame fan, bask in the excitement.
That's right.
Embrace the excitement.
Don't get nervous.
Don't get nervous. Enjoy it. I really do think they have a chance to do something really, really special this year. I've been on this team for months and months, and to watch them go in and win the way that they did against a team that I think is sneaky, potentially good in Texas A&M, I think there's a lot to like about this, and embrace it, because that's what being a fan's all about.
All right. But got to keep it up. Got to keep it up. But you got a mulligan. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.